Hey all, so welcome back to my channel, and so sorry for the delay between food videos, but I've been enjoying that gorgeous spring weather outside. Okay, well, let's get to this recipe. This is a Korean pancake inspired Gerson Therapy recipe. You know, I saw something in my feed with some Korean style pancakes, and I was like, ooh, these will make the perfect little Gerson meal. And you know, they're pancakes, flatbread, you could use it as a taco. You could really do anything with these guys. Okay, so let's get to cooking. Okay, here on my cutting board, you're going to see all the ingredients I have laid out. The binding agent for this recipe is going to be our organic oats. That's going to substitute as our flour. And then the rest is just an assortment of veggies. Whichever you have in the fridge will work. But you do want to have some green onion and potato and zucchini. I think those are key. Everything else you can add or remove as needed. So now I'm going to get to chopping on these veggies. We're going to do a julienne style type cut here. Not as long as your traditional julienne style cut veggies, but I just find that this is a little bit faster and easygoing. I know time is not on everyone's side, so I think you could try this recipe by using a cheese grater to grate most of the veggies. I think you just want to be mindful not to add as much water, because making the veggies that smaller cut, they are going to release more liquid, and you're not going to get that veggie crunch. So if you do have the patience and the time in your day, I'd go ahead and julienne all those veggies so that you can enjoy each one having its own little texture within that veggie pancake. Let's just go over the ingredients that I pulled out for our veggie pancakes. I'm using about 1 carrot, half a zucchini, 1 celery stalk, half an onion, about a half of a red bell pepper, but it was pretty small, so I'd probably use a quarter, half a leek, 3 green onions, 2 medium potatoes, and some herbs or parsley and cilantro. You know, for some of the items, I was actually making my special soup today. So what I did not use of my leek and some of my herbs, I went ahead and threw those into the soup because I didn't know what else I was going to do with it. If you want to go ahead and use the whole zucchini and the whole leek, I would probably forego some of the items, or you're going to be making veggie pancakes until the evening. Now that our veggies are all chopped up, let's pull out our organic oats. This is going to be our binding agency for those pancakes. I find it's best to just go ahead and make your own oat flour. It's super, super easy. You just put it here into a coffee grinder. It works perfect. You get a couple little pulses and shakes, and voila, you have oat flour. Easy peasy. For this recipe, we're going to use about 1 cup of oat flour. Before we add any of that oat flour, though, we do want to get all of our veggies in a mixing bowl so that we can give them a good seasoning and a good toss before we add that oat flour and water. For my seasoning, I went ahead with the flesh of half a lemon. You can use lemon juice if you prefer. And then also 1 to 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And then for that extra zingy taste that will just make them pop, I'm going to add in some apple cider vinegar. And you can really put any type of vinegar, your preference. I just think the apple cider vinegar is the best for this recipe. Now that everything is seasoned, we're going to give them a super duper good mix before we start adding the rest of our ingredients. Now we just need to add in our last 2 ingredients, which is going to be our binding agency, our oat flour, and our distilled water. For this recipe, I used about 1 cup equal portions, flour to water. But to get started and not to over batter the veggies, I wanted to add half a cup first, give everything a good stir, see how that consistency was looking. Because I did have a lot of veggies in that bowl, I did wind up using the whole 1 cup of flour and 1 cup of water. You do want to give these guys a really good mix to make sure that the oat flour and the water gets nicely incorporated around each little strand of veggies. To do this, I decided it was just easier to get in there with your hands and squeeze those veggies around, releasing a little bit of their juice, and making sure they were all equally battered. Okay, so now it's time to get to cooking on our pancakes. Now, I've mentioned this before, but this is pretty key here. You do want to use one of those heat diffusers on your stainless steel pan to make sure your heat will evenly distribute. Okay, before you want to add anything, you do want to give it a heat test. You want to make sure your little water speckles do a little dance. Now that they've done a little dance, we are ready to put on our batter. For each of our little veggie pancakes, I think it's going to be about a half a cup of the batter. You know, I just kind of went in, got a big scoop, put it on the pan, flattened it up, made sure it was perfect size, not too big, not too small. And we're going to cover this guy and let it cook for 5 minutes minimum. Once you're at that 5-minute marker, you can start gently peeling the pancake off the bottom of that skillet. Now, you do want to do a gently lift around each little corner and then cover that guy up and let it cook for another minute or two. This allows you to do a nice even flip without having any sticky batter left on your pan. Okay, now we're ready to flip that guy, and then once we have it flipped, we're going to give it another 5 minutes of cooking. So about total time is somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. Since each little pancake will take about 5 minutes per side, you know, I just set a timer, walk away, do something else, come back when the timer buzzes, and give those guys a little flip. Since I had so much batter left over, I decided to share my veggie pancakes with my husband, but for his, I cooked in oil. He's not a fan of that no oil cooking. So to go with my veggie pancakes, I'm just gonna cook up some simple broccoli and onions, give my onion a quick little chop, give my broccoli a wash and a chop, put it in a pan and let it slowly cook. Since I had a little bit of time between cooking each of those little pancakes, I got to thinking, what would it pair well with? And that was making a tzatziki yogurt sauce. So let's get that put together. We're gonna smash and chop some garlic, some dill, juice half a lemon, use our organic non-fat Greek yogurt, and put in a little bit of flax oil. This is also perfect because I'll use this throughout the week to dip my veggies in or add onto my dressing to make it a little creamy. Even on baked potatoes, it's perfect. It can literally be put on anything. Well, oops, I got a little distracted between making lunch and actually sitting down for lunchtime. So I threw my little veggie pancakes into the toaster oven just to warm them up a little bit. And let's get that lunch plate plated and enjoy. Hey, you know, guys, I hope you've really enjoyed this video. This veggie pancakes, they really are delightful. It takes a little extra time to make, but, you know, sometimes you just need something special to eat. All right. Happy eating and happy healing. Till the next time.